For the past year and a half or so of my life, I've been chilling. I feel like life has just been so quiet for me, like it's not even funny. Like I've just been either at home doing what I need to do, or working on what I need to work on and trying to get to where I need to get to. Bro, I barely go out. I don't party. I haven't been to a nightclub in a long time. I don't even do lunches. I don't even do dinners. All I do is just like work, focus, and like I said, do what I need to do. You know, it's quite boring. I'm living quite a boring life at some times. But what I actually realized about life, over the years of my journey, of my life journey, is that you always need to take every season for what it is. You always need to take every season how it is and for what it is. If God wants you to be, you know, chill, if He wants you to just chillax, if He wants you to be in a place where not a lot of people are bothering you, no one needs your help, no one needs your attention. You don't need to be anywhere specific. You don't have deadlines, you don't have timelines. Well, I mean, besides the ones that you put for yourself. When you're living life like that, a lot of the times a lot of people feel like, oh, I should be somewhere else, and they try force their lives to become something that they're not at that time. Sometimes life just wants you to just chill, bro. Life wants you to rest. Life wants you to do nothing. God wants you, the universe wants you. Whatever force, whatever power that you believe is on your life, back that force, bro. Back that power, back that God. Because for me personally, like, I have this belief, I have this understanding that, like, every season that you go through, there will be an opposite season of the same kind. It might not be right now, it might not be, in the next 3 years, 4 years, but even if it's silent, like to the death right now, there will be a time, maybe it's 5 years from now, where you're going to be so busy that you're going to wish that you had the silence that you have right now. This is why I always believe in taking life as it is, taking the season as it is. If life wants you to grind it out, if it wants you to push it out, if it wants you to beg, to cry, to fight, then do that, because that's what you have to do right now. But there will be another time where you have to do something else. So living in the moment and enjoying where you are, enjoying what life looks like right now, because as you've noticed, it'll never look like this again. It'll never look like when you were 20 years old. It'll never look like when you were 16 years old. It'll never look like the good old days that we're always missing. Because that's one thing for me that I realized over the years, is that, like, I'd always look back at situations, at life, at like where I am, and I'll just say to myself, you know, um, don't you miss those days? Don't you miss being able to chill with your friends for 5 hours at a time and just talk about nothing and play, PlayStation or play Xbox or whatever it is, doing something so insignificant, but just being surrounded by, good company, good thoughts, good minds, people who test you, people who grow you, you know, you always look back at those days. You always look back at those days and you'd say to yourself, like, wow, can't believe they're gone, you know. And the sad thing is that, like, when you were in those days, you probably wished that those days were gone. You probably wished that, oh, I wish I was older. I wish I could go to nightclubs. I wish I could do all these exciting things, because that's the typical way. That's the human way. Like, we're never grateful for the place that we are right now. We don't know that we are in the good old days right now. We are in the good old days right now. So that's just for me, where I had to challenge myself. After some time, I realized that I can't keep looking back and telling myself and saying to myself, oh, you should probably get back to how life used to be. I wish life could be like the way it used to be. Oh, I used to have so much fun back then. And then now, now I'm no longer in that mindset. I'm in that place now where I'm saying to myself, take every moment as it comes. Take the time, take the season, take the place that you are in right now as it comes. Don't rush to be somewhere that you're not meant to be, because I've also been that guy who's trying to push for somewhere or some place that I'm not meant to be in that current time. Yes, you are working on things. Yes, you are hoping for things to work out for you in the future one day. But, until that point, until the day that whatever you're working on finally has a results on the way, in the meantime, what are you doing? You know, how are you living your life? Are you happy? Are you present? Are you learning everything that you need to learn in this season, in this time? Are you taking every moment, every day, you know, for what it is, and that is a gift?